Satan hates women and children for a very particular reason. There is a special hatred that he has, yes, for humanity, but also for women. You are going to want to watch this until the end. Now, in part 1, we basically talked about Genesis 3:15. And this is when it says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head and you will strike his heel. This is the curse that God put upon Satan after he deceived Eve into eating the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, what does this mean? Again, this means that God put a curse in which there would be enmity between Satan and the woman, between his offspring and her offspring. The woman's offspring would crush his head and his offspring would strike his heel. Now, we know that this prophecy is about Jesus Christ, and I'll show you in Revelation how this correlates to Jesus. But this is the reason why Satan hates women and children, because God promised that through the womb of a woman would come an offspring that would crush his head. Now, of course, this was Jesus. Jesus defeated Satan. He crushed the head of the serpent, and it is finished. However, this also refers to all godly offspring, meaning all children of God that are literally destined to break down the agendas of the enemy on the earth, right? The Bible talks about how when Moses, for example, was born, Pharaoh around that time had ordered that all the midwives in Egypt kill all the firstborn sons of the Hebrews. Around the time that Moses was born, but Moses, of course, escaped, okay, and he was raised by Pharaoh's daughter. We all know that story. The same thing happened when Jesus was born. When Jesus was born, King Herod ordered that every child, every boy, every male child under the age of 2 years old be killed because he had heard that a deliverer, a king of the Jews, had been born. The devil does not change his tactics, okay? Whenever God is about to raise up a deliverer, the devil begins to try to kill off the offspring in an attempt to kill off the deliverer that God is preparing to raise up. He did it with Moses because Moses was called to deliver the children of Israel from Egypt into the promised land. Moses was called to deliver God's people. He did it with Jesus because Jesus obviously delivered us from sin and death and crushed the head of the serpent permanently, right? But he also does it with other godly offspring. So if you go read the book of Judges, it talks about how whenever there is an issue or a problem in the world, whenever God's people cry out to him for deliverance, God raises a deliverer. Go read the book of Judges. The book of Judges is literally just about how every time the children of Israel go astray from God and they face evil or persecution, they cry out to God, and God raises up a judge, a deliverer that delivers them from their enemies. So when a people cries out to the Lord for deliverance from oppression or whatever it is, colonization, slavery, all these things, God raises up a deliverer. Go and look up all the different slave movements and revolts. All of these were started by people, right? By deliverers that rose up, by leaders that rose up. So God uses people to deliver his people, right? When you cry out to God for something, your blessing comes in the form of a human being. Whenever God's people cry out to him, God raises up a deliverer to deliver that people. Okay, happened with Moses, happened to the judges, happened with Jesus. Now, I'm going to read you from Revelation 12, okay? And this talks about Israel and Jesus and how literally the devil hates women and hates children, and why you should start opening your eyes whenever you see that there is this huge push for abortion in our society. Ask yourself why there is this push against the womb of the woman, why there's this push to literally destroy all of these children before they're even born. But listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. Revelation 12. A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven. An enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them onto the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron scepter. That's Jesus. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for the 1,260 days. This is Revelation. This literally encompasses everything that I'm talking about. This concept of Satan hating women and hating godly offspring and women's children. Like, Satan hates children. So anytime there's a push where there's this huge abortion movement to kill children, understand that it's because he senses that a deliverance is about to take place. A deliverer or deliverers who are going to crush his kingdom on earth are about to be born. So again, some women unfortunately have aborted children that God raised to deliver certain people from oppression, to create solutions in the earth. We always talk about how, oh, there is no cure for this, there's no solution for that. There are certain people that were meant to be born that have not been born because they were aborted, okay? And so they could not deliver people in the areas that God wanted them to deliver people, right? So again, go and study the Bible. Satan hates women and children for this specific reason. He hates women because women, we give birth to godly offspring. And godly offspring crushes the head of the serpent, just like Jesus crushed the head of Satan, and it is finished. We as children of God, we crush Satan's demonic agendas here on earth, his agendas of oppression, of hatred, all of those things. Through being a godly person, you actually crush the agenda of the enemy, and that is why he pushes for children to be destroyed. So I hope that made sense. That was a really quick teaching, but go study this out for yourself. Go study about Moses, about the judges, about Revelation 12, and this pattern. The enemy never changes his pattern. The tactics remain the same. It's just the time period that changes. Okay? So God bless you.